Okay, so a few different possible uses for Google Docs, what it's good for and what it isn't, and this is going to be similar to what we've already talked about. Google Docs is particularly good for time-sensitive items worked on by multiple people. Patricia's got a great story that she could tell you. I don't think we have time to right now because I'm just about out of time, but you know, of having to get a project together very quickly with a bunch of different people. It's got to be done in 2 hours. Everybody's got to be working on it. It's very good for something like that. Items that are worked on from many locations, whether it's through many collaborators or you personally are moving around a lot and not on the same computer a lot of the time. It's good for that. Particularly good and useful, I think, for drafting and brainstorming. Okay? And for sharing PDFs, as we talked about before. It is not good for the final product of anything, okay? When you need to hand it to somebody or you need to submit it to a journal or something like that, a journal is not going to accept Google Docs, so. But I strongly recommend using your Microsoft Office product for the final official version of something because not everybody uses Google Docs also. Anything that requires EndNote, RefWorks, or Zotero, extremely sensitive information, or if you're working in areas with poor internet connectivity, because there is a Google Docs offline option, which is a little out of scope for today. It's there, but for the most part, people use this as a web-based product. So if you're in an area where that is not super consistent, you may want to consider using a traditional Microsoft product. So Google Docs is constantly being revised and updated. There is a new features link at the top of your Google Docs account, which is always good to take a look at. It's in red with an exclamation point, very exciting. Or check out the Google Docs blog. And I've got the URL down there. It's just googledocs.blogspot.com. And they're always talking about some of the new and exciting things that they're doing, uses that people make of Google Docs and things like that. And finally, don't be afraid to ask for help. The help documentation is quite good in Google Docs. So there's a little help link up next to the new features, and they can take you through the basics of just about everything that you want to do, as well as addressing known issues and things like that. And of course, I'm always happy to answer questions too. Okay, I went a little longer than I planned to. Questions? Do you want to take a look at it? Anybody? Yes.
You said there's no like animations, things flying in. Are there any, like, can you do like just a simple dissolve between slides, or is there?
Currently, the question was about the animations that are available. Can you do dissolves between slides, things like that? Currently, that's not an option. I would anticipate that probably within the next year, it may be. But we'll see how much work they put into it. I will show you, this is actually what Google Docs looks like. Let me go back to, here we go. So this is my test account that I used for presentations, things like that, not my personal one, which is full of stuff. But you can see basically what it looks like. I can create new documents here and forms, okay? Upload things. I can share very easily from here, or I can share from inside the document. Move things around into folders. You can see down the sidebar, items by type, and I can see if I want to see everybody, all the documents that I've shared with certain people, I can see that as well, okay, down the side. So there's a lot of different options in here. Anything that you want to see? Any other questions?
Well, I didn't quite understand the limitations on file size. You said an overall document could be or a PowerPoint or a presentation could be 10 megabytes, but so there was like a 2 megabyte limitation on size.
That's for docs rather than the presentations module. Yeah, yeah. And there seems to be sort of some semi-confusion about the actual limitations of the account. People have sort of calculated if you had the maximum of all the limitations that they give, what would be the total file size, and it's very large. So you can kind of calculate the theoretical amount of space that's available to you. But.
And then also for spreadsheets, if you had some simple formulas in an Excel, you pull those into Google Docs.
The simple formulas will continue to function, as I found. The complex formulas, charts, things like that, do not work well going back and forth.